So how did I become a part of the teaching staff at Spurgeon's College? Well, I would begin by quoting from the prophet Jeremiah. He's my favourite prophet in the whole of the Bible. And you might remember at the beginning of Jeremiah's prophecy, God says to Jeremiah, he said to Jeremiah as a young man, he said, "Before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. And before you were born, I set you apart and I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." And I think that I can see in hindsight the way in which God was forming and shaping me over many, many years in preparation for taking up the role as tutor at Spurgeon's College. And it was really by God's grace, before I came to Spurgeon's College, that I had the opportunity to be formed morally, intellectually, spiritually at some amazing universities and institutions and colleges: Oxford University, Trinity College, Dublin, which was just an incredible experience, and also the International Baptist Theological Seminary in Prague, which is also an amazing place. And I remember the tutorials and the instructions of my amazing teachers over the years. I remember them all with a great deal of respect and admiration and gratitude. I think it's learning from their example that God started to plant some little seeds in my heart, that perhaps he was calling me towards a similar kind of vocation. And my experience of learning gave me not only a thirst for knowledge, but also a desire to share the knowledge with others, to help them and to encourage them on their faith journeys. So I think around about that time, when I was a student, I settled on a career in teaching, which was for me going to be much more than a career. It was going to be a vocation. This was my ministry. This was my master concern. My goal in life was to teach and to research and to write. And I was very blessed and very grateful that this vocation found expression even during my studies. Even while I was still studying, I had an opportunity to teach at Trinity College in Dublin. And I spent a lot of time in Germany as well while I was writing up my PhD. And I had the opportunity to teach in various German seminaries and colleges. It was absolutely amazing experience. My heart's just full of gratitude whenever I look back on those incredible experiences. And it was right after completing my doctoral studies, that was in Ireland, that I then moved to Eastern Europe, to Ukraine, and to the city of Donetsk in eastern Ukraine. And I taught theology at Donetsk Christian University. I was there for about a year or so. And the time that I'd spent both in Germany and Ukraine gave me the opportunity to learn the beautiful languages of German and Russian. And so it was after about a year of teaching in Donetsk in Ukraine that the then principal of Spurgeon's College, Dr. Nigel Wright, who I remember very fondly, he brought to my attention a vacancy at Spurgeon's College. They were looking for a new tutor. And so I prayed really hard. I can't ever remember praying so hard in all my life, because I remember when I first visited Spurgeon's College for the job interview in 2013, it feels like a very long time ago now, but just even my first visit, it was love at first sight. I fell instantly in love with Spurgeon's College. And on the interview day, which I can still remember vividly, I remember I attended the college chapel service, and it was also it was almost like experiencing a little foretaste of heaven, just looking around and seeing so many people from a rich diversity of nations and ethnicities all gathered together, worshipping the one God. It was an incredible experience. So I loved the atmosphere at Spurgeon's College. I just loved it, the people, the staff, the students, everything about it. And I should say that I got a good grilling on the interview day. And it was let's just say, an interesting but positive experience. And thankfully, I travelled back to Northumbrian that same evening, and I got the phone call from the incoming principal at that time, Dr. Roger Standing. And I can still remember Roger saying to me that they would like to offer me the job as tutor in theology and public thought at Spurgeon's College. So that was a really life-transforming moment and an answer to my prayers. That was back in 2013. And ever since then, I've been working in various roles at the college, mainly teaching, but also since 2018, I've been serving as Director of Postgraduate Studies, with a particular responsibility for the Masters and the doctoral programs. So it's been good. It's been a really good and positive experience. I haven't looked back. I haven't had any regrets. I'm really grateful, just so grateful to God to be part of such a vibrant and diverse, multicultural, multi-ethnic learning community at Spurgeon's College. It really is a gift of God's grace to have the opportunity to live out my calling in a learning community, learning together with my colleagues, with my students. There's a great sense of solidarity, of coming together, of unity in Christ, of being a learning community. It's really important. We're not just a bunch of individuals doing our own things, but we're a community of people who are being formed for mission and ministry, and we're growing in grace and knowledge together. So that's really important. That's been a real blessing of being part of the community at Spurgeon's College. And actually, teaching at the college has taught me that there's no greater blessing of being a teacher than seeing students' lives and ministries being transformed as a result of their studies. The opportunity that I have as a tutor to help people to grow in grace and knowledge of what the Apostle Paul calls the boundless riches of Christ, that is really a special gift. I don't take it for granted, and I thank God for it.